Ladies and gentlemen, it's your man, Pastor G, coming at you again with another episode of the Sanctuary Podcast. I got my friends on tonight, and we got a hot show tonight. I've been having a lot of dialogue about some of my recent social media posts, and tonight we are definitely going to unpack these conversations, and we're going to have a good time as we converse and we dialogue about a variety of things, and we are definitely going to definitely hit the ground rocking and rolling. Um, I'm gonna allow my guests, each one, to introduce themselves individually, and as always, keep our mics muted. Let's decide time to speak. I'm gonna start with my top right, Sister AP.
Great evening, everyone. I am Andrea Purry, your purpose pusher, pushing you into purpose with prayer and affirmation, letting you know that there is a way that seems right, but the way that's right is with Christ. Have an amazing day. I am here. I'm ready to get this conversation started.
I love it, Pastor D.
Hi, I'm Pastor D, and I am here to enjoy a great topic and have a great conversation. I hope you all enjoy it.
Last but not least,
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jared Bargety here, host of the Lost in Translation podcast here on YouTube. Once again, I am so glad that we're here again. Greg, I'm glad you invited me one more time. It's glad to be in the service one more time. Thank you so much, sir.
come on now. I love it. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking tonight about a time when love was easy, before we complicated things, before we made things so difficult. I'm talking about back we were in the eighth, ninth, and the 10th grade, and you know how you had that boo thing, and if you were a man, your major responsibilities was meeting her at her locker in the morning, carrying her books between classes, sitting with her at lunch, meet her at school at the bus stop, get her on the bus, and then you call her at night after basketball or football practice. And you know what? That conversation was all night. And you would say things like, "You sleep? No, I'm not asleep yet. I'm sleepy, but I ain't sleep." But it was innocent, but could nobody could tell you that that was not your boo. You understand? That there was nothing, no one, nothing that could convince you that this was not going to be the person that you married later on in life. Our love was genuine. And I just believe that because of the innocence of us coming together, because your getting together was a result of him sending you a note in first period talking about, do you like me? Yes, no, maybe. And you made him wait to the last period of school to give him that note back, and it said yes. And then he mustered up the courage to ask you out after he got your number. Y'all went to the picture show. You went to get some burgers and fries. Wasn't no Ruth Chris, and she was happy. She didn't need a 5-star Capitol Grill. She was happy with Chili's baby back ribs. You understand? She was happy because she was with you, and she liked you. Y'all had this type of connection, and all you wanted to do was spend time together. But something happened between then and now, and we have complicated this thing. And that's what we have gathered here today in the sight of God to talk about. I'm coming to AP first. AP, talk to me. Talk to me. What do you think happened between then and now that has complicated this thing?
What has happened between then and now? A lot has happened. I think one of the biggest things that has happened is women have elevated their standards.
Mm.
Women are requiring more. Women, they have more. They're doing more. Um, Technology is one of those things that I feel like it can bring you together or can bring you apart. Because everyone has a mic, because everyone has a platform, all different types of information is being spewed into people's lives and minds. Before, we didn't have all the different platforms. We didn't have all the media outlets. We didn't have all of the different conversations going on. So, on one hand, the conversations can be good, but on another hand, we see it has complicated things.
I definitely agree with you 100%. Uh, Great answer. I'm coming to you, JB. What you think, buddy?
You know what I think the difference is that one side of the conversation is now being heard where it wasn't heard before. I think
Ooh.
that's the major difference. You know, back in the day, there was always a one-sided conversation that
Mhm.
only people get to hear one side. So now there's a second side that people get a chance to hear and to weigh in, to measure things. But to be honest, in my honest and humble opinion, I think the
Mhm.
difference is that people have mismanaged their expectations. So I
Mm.
think that is exactly what's going on today. You know what I mean? I think people have mismanaged their expectations and have gotten a little bit out of hand versus reality. So that's my main take of what I've seen today.
Wow. Wow. Pastor D, talk to me.
I'm going to start off by saying I am probably 95% agree with my fellow Cowboy fan over here, that we have taken relationships, dating, it's out of control. It is
Mhm.
more so based off of what can you do for me?
Mhm.
It's based off of a status, it's based off of false pretenses, it's based off of keeping up with the Joneses, quote
Mhm.
unquote, aka social media. And so now people have to live up to this standard to look good for other
Mhm.
people on social media versus what they really like. Like, I'm not a seafood eater, so you taking me to a five-star restaurant with seafood means absolutely nothing to me.
Mm.
I don't have to try to impress, but we have that motion that we have to try to impress the next person or make it look like the more you spend on me, it means the more you love me, which doesn't necessarily mean that.
Wow. I feel you. I feel you. And I would add, I think that because we have lost that innocence that we used to have back in the day, we were very genuine. We didn't mind putting ourselves out there. We didn't mind um, asking for the phone number. We didn't mind being genuine, letting them know I like you. Do you like me? It is so difficult sometimes to say the words, I like you. I have interest in you on both ends. We do not want to put ourselves out there and to be vulnerable. I'm not sure why, but JB, back to you for a second. What do you think has happened that has caused us to not want to be vulnerable anymore?
To be honest, I think it's like I said earlier, people have mismanaged their expectations, man. It's just like back in the day when you had one person to deal with, you kind of put all your eggs in one basket
Hmm.
and you put everything that you had into that one basket and
Hmm.
that basket reciprocated. So
Hmm.
now if the other person has somebody else on the side, they not necessarily want to throw you quite away until they want to make sure you're the best option.
Hmm.
You see what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So now the level of energy being reciprocated is not the same, and the other person doesn't really know that, but they can feel that by the level of reciprocity that's coming back. So it kind of makes people apprehensive. So I think that has a lot to do with it today.
Wow. Wow. What about you, AP? What do you think has caused us not to want to be our genuine self and just state the obvious?
A lot of people have been hurt. There is hurt people who have hurt people, people who have experienced rejection and they don't want to experience again.
Hmm.
A lot of people, including myself,
Hmm.
um, you put yourself out there in certain spaces and you don't get in return what you give out.
Hmm.
And because of that, sometimes it has caused you to pause. It has caused you to take a beat. It has
Hmm.
caused you to say, maybe this,
Got you.
maybe it's not for me to make the
Hmm.
first move, or maybe
Hmm.
I should wait and see. okay, this is what this looks like. Okay, this is
Mhm.
somebody I want to pursue, or this is somebody who I don't want to pursue.
Mm. Pastor D, talk to me. This whole, what do you think has caused us not to want to be open and genuine and just say, I like you. Do you like me?
I think some of it is, once again, still social media, and people feel like they have so many options. And because when you feel like the more options you have, why
Mhm.
do you run with one person? Back
Mhm.
in the day, we was at school, it wasn't like, it was a lot of girls because you get caught anyway. But now with your social media, people can DM you, it's
Yeah.
all slick ways to do dirt. So I think now it's a matter of people just like, I'm not going to waste my time on somebody who's seriously not serious about being open and vulnerable, because it takes it on both ends. Now, me as a woman, um, if I see that it's somebody I'm interested in, I will give him clues. But for me to bluntly tell a man, probably not going to happen. It's not because I think he's going to do anything. I just don't think it's my role to step to the man first.
I understand.
But I will give him clues to let him know, like, okay, I'm open for you to approach me.
Got you. Got you. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to pause for the calls. Do you understand who has just dropped into the sanctuary? The Lord has dropped into the sanctuary. Miss Shakira V. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the one and only Shakira V. What's up, girl?
Thank you so much. Tell the Lord thank you. I came in, I interrupted.
Hallelujah.
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 Thank you for letting me crash and be a part of tonight's broadcast. How's it going, everybody?
Girl,
We good. We good. We listen, we was we chopping up about right now. The question is, what has caused us to not want to be vulnerable enough now, like we were in middle school, high school, to just say, I like you. Do you like me? Like, what do you think has caused us to hold back our interest and our honesty, I should say?
For me, I think, when I remember, wow, that's over, like, I'm gonna tell my age in a minute. About, 20 plus years ago, right?
Yeah.
So with that being said, I mean, in high school, I believe, when you're young, you just don't have that spirit of fear, right? So, when you're, interested in somebody, again, I agree with Pastor D at the bottom, about being approachable. In
Mhm.
high school, I can remember, a couple of people to say, I don't know if she's yet that approachable, because, they figured back in the day, hey, look, if I don't have my ish together, I might need to make sure
Mhm.
that I come correct before I come to her. And that's called setting the bar. But I think what happens now in relationships is that, I think a lot of us are actually fearful of being rejected. I think in my latter years, in my 40s, sometimes even me, going out and mingling and trying to network and meet new people, I
Mhm.
find it now a little bit harder, just because of sometimes it's the fear of rejection.
Yeah.
um, and I think I am the most approachable person. I'm very bubbly. um, you know I'm a people person. I'm a socialite, so I will get out and I'll have a conversation with the best of the best, right? But
Mhm.
then if someone comes in the room that catches my eye, of course I'll bat my eye, things of that sort, trying to get your attention, things, you know what I'm saying, like kind of the flirtatious thing, that we're as women, we're natural with doing that. But
Mhm.
sometimes with some people, I can say that spirit of fear will sometimes creep up on a sister and be like, I don't know if he's interested because he's not giving me the type of vibes that I'm looking for.
Right, right, right. I got you. I got you. So let me say this. I know that back in the day, all of us were forthcoming with our interests, and we wanted to have an emotional connection without even understanding really what the emotional connection even was. But now we are so afraid of allowing anybody to connect to us in any capacity because we are so afraid, again, of being hurt. We're so afraid of old pain repeating itself. We know that we do desire to be loved. And I think all of us know what that love should look like, right? But we are afraid of what has already happened happening again. We don't want to open up ourselves and be vulnerable, but yet we still want to be married. We want somebody to love us, right? We put ourselves out there to a degree, but then we withhold certain things, or we have a bad experience, right? And now I become that much more reserved the next time. Here's my question. What do you think happens to the point where we always look at the other person, but we never turn the lens of the camera on us and ask ourselves, what am I doing? What could I change? What could be different about my approach? Coming to you, JB, talk to me.
You know, I think we've gotten away from asking the $100,000 questions. You know what I'm saying? The first question you should ask is, are you seeing anyone?
Yes, sir.
Because that's going to direct your path. You know, it's before you can even get into the other stuff, you need to make sure it's okay to approach, because you don't want to, you know, be in a place where you shouldn't be. So I think what happens is people are so afraid of being rejected, you know, just say, hey, look, I'm here. I'm just going to let them decide who it is. But at the same time, you kind of put the other person in a bad situation. You know, now they have to choose. You see what I'm saying? So the first thing you want to do is you want to be honorable and ask the question, are you seeing anyone? And then from that on, you know, you ask them, hey, listen, are you available for love? You know, because sometimes people may be single, but they may not be available. You know, they may still have some work to do. I had a conversation with a female friend of mine the other day, and she's all head over heels of this new guy. And she said she's ready to get married. And I asked her, listen, are you prepared? You know, and he sounds like he's prepared. I asked her, I said, are you prepared? You know, what work have you done to prepare yourself to be a wife? You know, I see a few holes. This is what we need to work on, you know, that type of thing. So sometimes we have to ask ourselves the question first, are you prepared before you approach?
That's a good point. Because, you know, the great R&B prophetess, India Ari, said that I'm ready for love. Why are you hiding from me? Right? But you use another word. You said prepared, and prepared and ready ain't the same thing.
Correct.
I could be ready for $500,000, ready to win the lottery, but what's my money management look like? Right? AP, talk to me. Why do you think it's so hard for us to look at ourselves and say, you know what? Could my approach be different? Could my the way I operate be a little different? Why so hard?
Okay, before I get into that, I got to ask my boy JB a question.
Yes.
Are you prepared for love? Okay, so we went from like, do you like me? Yes or no, to are you prepared for love? Is you doing this in these streets?
Oh, listen, I'm always working on myself at all times. Here's the thing, as a man of wisdom, you cannot afford to not grow every single day.
All
You know what I
right.
mean?
Love it. I love it. I love that so much. I feel like this is the type of conversation we need to have, is to see men who are prepared to have this conversation and who are asking certain questions like, are you prepared for love? Because we're not in high school anymore. So we can't circle yes or no. We need to know, what are your intentions? And I love what he said. I think women, a lot of women are ready for the change, like whatever it looks like, because women over 40, either they have become desperate, they have become lonely, or they've become tired of being single. And because some women have got to that place, I do feel like they're open to, okay, maybe I'm not doing something right. Okay, they have went to life coaches, love coaches, dating coaches. It's all type of coaches out here now.
Yeah.
So I do feel like a lot of women are ready to have those certain conversations, but we have to have prepared men to be available for those women who are ready to change. And to answer your question, I do believe that there are men out there who are ready, but
Mhm.
I don't know if the spectrum or the 1-to-1 ratio is the same.
Mm.
Well, all you need is one.
Well, listen. Hallelujah.
All
Glory.
you need is one.
Wait a minute. Let me mute myself. He said mute when
You
you ain't
heard him. You
talking.
heard him. Say it again, JB.
All you need is one.
Ow. I love it. That man said all you need is one. All it takes is a spark, light the whole forest on fire. That's all I'm saying. Let me shift the gears, and I'm coming back to Pastor D with this. I want you to think about compatibility. All right. And I want you to tell me, what do you think that people should look for to determine compatibility? And how soon do you think they should look for it? Talk to me.
Compatibility. I think you have to look at it spiritually and naturally.
All right.
And I think it's something, especially if I believe all of us in the room are 40 and up. So it is something you should look for soon. I
Mhm.
tell people all the time, why date, talk, flirt, do all of this, get feelings involved, and then you find out we are not even compatible at all. We don't really believe or value the same things at all. That's a waste of time. That's a waste of a heartbreak. That's all kind of
Mhm.
emotions that you really shouldn't waste your time on.
Mhm.
I'm a person, I ask a lot of questions up front
Yeah.
because I don't want to waste my time and I don't want to waste your time. It ain't just about my time. I don't even want to waste your time because I know exactly what I'm looking for and exactly what I want. And so let's not play games and go through all these changes. And then we find out in probably the quick run that this ain't going to work at all. So I think it's something you need to know spiritually and naturally, because spiritually, especially like with me being a pastor, I need to know that my husband is okay with who God has called me to be and that
Mhm.
he's walking in his purpose as well. It's not just me, but him as well. And that we understand we're on the same page and he's pushing me as well as he's allowing me to push him. So spiritually, and that we believe in a lot of things when it comes to the spiritual realm. Uh,
Mhm.
and then natural, I want to be compatible as far as, how we see, well, I ain't having more kids, but as far as like with our grandkids and, family values and,
Yeah.
I prefer a husband who is into sports, who likes sports because I do. So those are things that to me, finances, um, are we compatible? I like to shop. I'm not gonna sit here and act like to y'all I don't. To this man, I don't like to shop. I do. So those are things that I think that we should know early on in a relationship and stop playing games and stop trying to get around it because he's fine or because she looks good, because you got to live with this person beyond looks.
Mhm. That is indeed true. And I know that all of us, want somebody that is eye candy. But I always say, eye candy ain't nothing to soul food. I need a woman that's some soul food that's good to me all the way through. I think sometime in our quest to find love, we allow what we see to be the determining factor. When the Bible says that a man's eyes are never satisfied, I think sometimes we don't realize that because these eyes are never satisfied, even when you're with somebody that you love, you will always see someone that's attractive, whether it's your level of commitment that makes you say, yeah, he or she is pretty, but what I got at home, nothing beats that. I'm coming to you, Shaq. Miss Shakira V. So think about honesty and communication. Now, we initially were talking about how, where, and when did love become so complicated? It was easy for us back when to uh, communicate honesty, right? We had nothing to lose, right? There was a time I would go to the mall because I knew she was going to be there. I didn't have her number yet, but I knew where she was going to be. I would make my way to where she was, say something to her, and she would write her name and her number on a napkin. And I would cherish that napkin like I was a PhD from Harvard. Because I worked hard for that number. I worked hard for that napkin. And I went as far, this is a true story. I went as far. My high school sweetheart, you know how you had those senior books? I kept the napkin, right? I kept the napkin and put it in my senior book. The end of the year, showed her I still had it. Let me tell you something. The way she lit up, because I cherished that napkin. I still have that napkin to this day in my senior book in my office. I still have it, right? But those were the days where a man really had genuine interest. He saw this woman like, man, she's special. I want her to be mine. And we wanted everybody to know that she's mine, right? I had my Letterman's jacket, my jacket, or my leather coat, whatever it was. And they, oh, that's a great jacket. Or if you knew back in the day, that's black jacket. That's my high school nickname. That's black jacket. They knew she belonged to me. As a woman, tell me this. How did it make you feel back then when a man was so open and honest with that communication about his feelings towards you? How did you feel?
Oh, back in the day, that felt amazing. I mean, for women at that point, I mean, in our younger years, that put us on top of the world. You got to think about it. I'm walking around with a Letterman jacket, and I'm on the high school grounds in the
Come on
middle of
now.
high school or either in
Come on.
college, and I'm showing off the coat. That was
Come
like a
on.
signifier to say, "Hey, that is my man,
Come
and
on.
I am his." And
Come on.
so, with having that back in the day, that was something that we cherished, and I think we may have gravitated a little bit beyond that part. And we forget about it because it's the little things like that. Even in the now, I want a man to be able to cherish me and be like, she's wearing my jacket, or that's Bay across the room. You understand? Like, and and be able to, have that type of experience where when you display me or I'm in public and I'm not with you, I'm still representing you. So back in the day, it was easy. But now, that honesty moment with it, because, we have some guys that are not like our JB on the side that aren't as honest and not that one to be like, well, I don't want to let everybody know that, I'm with Kira right now, I'm trying to still figure it out or find the navigation. So, it takes, you got to see where the person really is. I just think back then it was just very simple, but in the now we're so complex in relationships. It's, the honesty we say is the best policy, but sometimes having that honesty is the make or break in the relationship, because you come to find in the time when you're with somebody that you're still unzipping truths that you never knew about the longer that you're with them.
That's right. That's right.
And sometimes the other individual doesn't be so honest to tell you certain truths or things that were in what we say their closet, just because maybe I'm afraid of what she's going to think about me, or I'm afraid of how she's going to look at me. Is she going to look at me differently? So I think that those are some of the things that can cause us not to be as open as we used to. But I think if we, what was it? Juanita Bonham said, from behind the veil, she said it, the best. We got to come from behind the veil and be open and honest to be able to have these conversations. Because if I love you, it's okay for me to have an open, honest conversation, and your love does not change for me. That is the true statement.
Come on with it now. JB, talk to me as a man. Like, now, hearing how Shakira said that made the average woman feel. Now, we're the ones who are communicating the honesty, right? What do you think has happened within us as men from then until now that make us reserved with being forthcoming with our emotions and feelings?
To be honest, previous experiences with people who haven't been quite honest has really made men reserved in how they dole out the love. You know what I mean? All it takes is one person to mishandle your feelings and mishandle your emotions, and then you become stoic.
Yeah.
And at that point, you just really, are very judicious with how you handle that out. You kind of, put that in the back burner. You remember that, but you don't want to be afraid, because most men aren't afraid, but at the same time, you still don't want to put yourself in a position where it
Mhm.
hurts. You see what I'm saying? Nobody, no human wants to hurt,
Yes.
especially if you love the way that you feel like you should. You
Yeah.
say, hey, look, I cleared the calendar. I made sure that I was prepared. I asked you, were you seeing anybody? Did you like me? I liked you. And then all of a sudden something falls apart. There's a disconnect.
Mhm.
So you can be as honest as all you want to, but if you're always met with dishonesty
Yeah.
and the results don't always reciprocate what you've put into,
Mhm.
it kind of makes you apprehensive. See, most men don't tell those stories,
Mhm.
because as a man, you're supposed to have it together.
That's right.
You're supposed to be the man, you know? So what happens is most men don't share those stories. It's, hey, she kind of moved on, and, that type of thing. But you really never understand why. It could have been as simple as she already been talking to somebody else, or she probably just wasn't feeling you and didn't have the courage to tell you exactly what it was. So I think a lot of times people are not upfront about how they really feel about somebody, because they don't want to be the bad guy. You know what I mean? They don't want to say, hey, I like you, but not like that. You know what I mean? Instead of just coming out saying that. And I think a lot of miscommunication happens and everything is lost in translation in those particular situations. So that's the reason why most men are apprehensive.
Yeah. 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 That's a good point. And I think that to echo your sentiment, man, I think because as men, we are not given this space sometime to admit when we have been hurt, right? And even as men, we don't sign our own permission slip to say, you know what, Greg, it's okay to cry, that you feel some type of way, or it's okay to sit in this moment, right? Like even the Bible says that when my heart is overwhelmed, there's a rock that's higher than I. Like even as believers, we don't understand that it's okay to sit in a moment of whatever the despair is, whether it's heartbreak, whether it's grief, whether it is heart, whatever it is. Have that moment, and then ascend to the rock, because you understand I don't have to stay in this place, right? Coming to you, AP. Think about this. I want to shift gears. Fun and enjoyment is your two words. Fun and enjoyment. I want to take you back to when you was in high school, right? He didn't got your number, right? Y'all done had some phone conversations. First time he called you on the phone, didn't know what to say. You told him, listen, don't call me past 9:30 because it's my bedtime is 10. He finally called you, and he didn't know what to say because he's been liking you since last year. He just got your number. He's overwhelmed with excitement. He don't know what to say. When he finally called your house and you answer the phone, hey, can I speak to Andrea? It's me. And he don't know what to say. And he say, can I play something for you? And you like, sure. He get his boom box because he been recording. He ain't got no money. He been recording the radio. He been recording the Quiet Storm, right? And he a Tevin Campbell fan. Can I turn to the book of R&B? He a Tevin Campbell fan, right? And he pressed play, and the words that Tevin Campbell sang was how he felt in his heart. Can I tell you what he said? He said, we were holding hands in the park. I had to hurry home before it's dark. You hear me? Then he went on to say, I just want to be alone with you. You hear me? Because there's nothing else I'd rather do. That's what you heard.
Come on.
Come on. You hear me? Do you hear me? That's what you heard, and now you cheesing? Tell me the fun, the excitement, not just of that moment, but he asked you out, right? And now you're on a first date and you're somewhere fun, bowling, anywhere. How you feeling? Talk to me.
Listen,
I'm listening.
I love music. There
Okay.
is something about when a man plays you a song that makes you feel so, so good. There's butterflies, there is goosebumps all over your arms. There is an intimacy that's being built. Um, I would love to say that I don't want this moment to end. Like the space that I'm in is I don't want no space between me and you. Like I don't want this date to end. I don't want this moment to end. I don't want the time together to end.
Mhm.
I want more time with you. And I think that's when it comes to us being on the phone all night. Like I don't want to stop hearing your breath. If you ain't got no words, let's just hold the phone. If you ain't got nothing to say, let me just hear your breath. I just want to as close as you as I could be.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to be close to you.
Come
Okay.
on now.
Yeah. That's how I'm feeling. I think something that you said, fun and enjoyment. The fun moments is creating experiences. And what he just did by playing the song for me was he created the experience and he created a moment that me and him can now share. We can
Mhm.
have another conversation about it. We can even talk about it. We could talk about the part that we like. He could talk about the part that he liked. And now there is a connection that is being built that's beyond anything anyone else would know about. It's
Say
just
that.
me and him.
Say
Listen,
that.
even though we might be in a space with more people, it's still just me and you. I don't
Mhm.
even see nobody else.
Come
Okay.
on now.
That's the enjoyment and also the fun
Yeah.
because there is something so amazing about being with someone and having an inside joke, having, a favorite song. There is something that literally, I'm telling you, those butterflies, it don't just happen one, two, three times. But if you can create intimate
Mhm.
moments, it's
Mhm.
all the time.
You better say that.
Okay, that's all I got.
I mean, listen, you you was on it, and I think that because we again don't have the conversation, we don't think about what we used to like versus now to realize that even though I'm an adult now, I still want to feel like that. I still, I'm sure that you all as women, like as all of you said, you want to feel that special moment of him playing the music. You want to hear him express his feelings out of his mouth. You want him to cherish that napkin that you wrote your phone number on. You want to come back 6 months later, all to realize you kept that because it shows you that not only does he like you, he values you because what you gave him the very first time. That's the first thing you gave him, your phone number, and he kept it. Right? He liked you. This puppy love 6 months from now, but to a 16-year-old teenager, that's real love. It don't get no better than going to the basketball game on a Friday night. It don't. It didn't get no better for me than have my boo in the stands. I'm on the field or the court, but to have her up there like that's my man, 44, that's my man. Right? Coming back to you, Pastor D. Talk to me, still on fun and enjoyment. What were some of the fun and enjoyable things as a teenager that you enjoyed doing with your boo, with your bae? Talk to me.
So, I remember city tournament. Like he would play in city tournament. So I remember like I couldn't wait for city tournament. Even though he played basketball, but I couldn't go a lot of times on Friday nights because we had to be in church.
Yeah.
So I was a church kid for real, for real. But I also remember like his dad was our superintendent. So his, I was always there for something. So just seeing him at church events or, us going out to eat after church or whatever it was like whenever we got a chance. And then in high school, we got to actually, 2 years we had left to be together in high school. So just seeing him or in passing, it was just like, okay. So I didn't get to date like that. Unfortunately, I didn't get that joy. But there was our personal connection. We knew, without making it blunt, because we both would have been in trouble by our parents. But just the moments of like, okay, but I'm gonna be here, or sending me giving me passing me a note like, okay, are you gonna be at such and such, or you coming to the musical, you coming here. So that was like some of the enjoyment, I think, because he was intentional, even though we had to kind of sneak around a little bit. But yeah, we're gonna sneak around a little bit to but right. But yeah, so but it was, I think, being intentional and making sure that even though I know we're probably really not supposed to do this, but you're still special to me, right? You're worth me probably getting in trouble a few times. In the midst of that we're not supposed to, or calling on the phone like, okay, call me anyway. I'm gonna answer the phone at such and such time. Make sure you call me right at 9 or whatever it was. So those are some of the things that I think that I enjoyed, and I definitely think I missed not us sneaking around, but just the fact that he was intentional.
Yeah. JB.
Yes, sir.
Commitment level. Now, some would say 16-year-old is not capable of commitment. Now, I don't believe that, but some do. And I think that when we hear about nowadays 16, 17-year-olds together, we tell them, oh, that's just puppy love. That ain't real. Not realizing that when we were 16,
it was real.
Oh, it was. Come on now, the
real.
great R&B prophetess, Mary J. Real love. I'm searching for a real love. Someone that set my heart free. Real love. I'm searching for a real love. Book of Mary J. The first chapter, 13th verse. Talk to me about this real love that 16, 17-year-olds that we had back then versus now. We drunk in love.
Right.
What's happening? Right. Talk to me.
Listen, man, I'm gonna tell you, back then love was pure. You know what I mean? Because it was one of those things where you didn't have anything and she didn't have anything, you know what I mean? And even if you did, you would take everything that you had, to be with her. You know what I'm saying? You take your little money and, go to the mall, go shopping or whatever. You get in the car and you go driving around, listening to music, baby, let's cruise. You know what I'm saying? Like Smokey used to say.
Come on.
Yeah. So those are some of the small, innocent moments. You gave each other all you had. You know what I mean? That type of love is powerful, And then on top of that, you really didn't have any responsibility. So everything that you had, you poured into that person. We had Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Come on,
we had Stevie Wonder, Love in Need of Love Today. You see what I'm saying? So those are some of the things that we grew up off of, the same music, because we didn't have Spotify and Apple Music. Everybody listened to the same radio station.
Yeah.
And you would call up to the radio station because, my dad was a radio announcer. I'm like, Dad, listen, I got this girl, right?
Mm-hmm.
I need you to play a song and dedicate it for me. You know what I mean? That type of thing. You know what I'm saying? So Pop's like, all right, son. All right, I see you. You know what I'm saying? That's right. I want to dedicate this song to my girl. You know what I'm saying? And then she hit on the radio. Oh my God. He said my name on the radio. But you know how that go. You know what I'm saying? So
yes, sir.
That type of love was pure. You know what I mean? It was unadulterated. You hadn't had till the heart broke. You know what I'm saying? It was real,
Real.
So it's pure because you knew it was real. You know, it wasn't one of those situations where you had to guess. You know, when she said yes, her yes meant yes.
Mhm.
And when you said yes, your yes meant yes. You see what I'm
Yes.
saying? So
Mhm.
that's the difference. I think a lot of times we like to discount younger love when they just don't know that spark can turn into something greater later
Hey,
on. You
come
know,
on
it
now.
teaches you how to take care of each other, you know, to look out for one another, to build that bond that
Build it.
will last. You see what I'm saying? It's like Andrea spoke to this. You create an atmosphere for just you and her.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Only you guys know your inside jokes. You know, only you know each other's song. You know, the slow dance you used to do when the favorite song used to come on. You know, these folks don't slow dance no more, man. But back then, that's all we had.
Slow jam.
That's right. That's what
Come
we
on
had.
now.
You know, but those are the tender moments, you
Yes,
know, that we
sir.
used to share when we were younger. And to me, I think that was, if I had to define real love, that was real love, man. Outside of
Mhm.
responsibility, it was pure.
JB, when I was 16, 17 with my high school sweetheart, that love was better than dipping the cornbread in the collard green juice. You hear me? That was the kind of love that woo, it just did something to you because it was like it was innocent, you know, and you even your commitment level was strong because you really wasn't checking for nobody else.
That's right.
You listen, you had to work hard for the napkin. Do you hear what I'm saying? When she put that name and that number on that napkin and she put a heart on it, you hear me? And she kissed it and give it to you, you couldn't wait to get home to call her. So we was excited. We wasn't checking for nobody else. And we really understood commitment better then than we do now. Because if women sometime today have an issue when they feel like we're not hearing them, right? Or we don't care how they feel, I should say. She's explaining to us how she feels, and we're not present in this moment. Our body is here, but our brain is not. And we know she's saying something, but we checking our phone, right? We stopped doing those simple things like back in the day, my girl had a pager, right? So I knew that I could send her. Listen. See, JB know this. Only the real players know this. You call her pager. Don't put in your phone number. You put in 17-31707-1. She flip it upside down. It's about like, I love you.
That's right.
You hear me? Do you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Y'all don't understand. The real players understand. If you do stuff like that, make her entire day. Because you thought about her and she knew he mean that. He loved me. You didn't want no other dude to get too close to your girl. Because if he did, listen, I'm outside of the club and you think I'm a punk. So I go to my heavy Chevy and pump the trunk. You hear me? You was knucking and bucking and ready to fight. If you think that I'm a punk, you better think twice.
That's
Because
right.
you stood up for her. And matter of fact, and I know we saved and sanctified. I get it. I was saved then too, but I fight. and the fact that I was saved and will fight, that's what she loved. Girl, I love him. He knows scriptures and he got hands, girl. But it's like we have gotten away from even defending our woman at the appropriate time, of course, right? We've gotten away from making her feel special. We would show up at her door back in the day. We had no money for a single rose. Okay? Stop by the 7-Eleven, They be in the cooler by the beer. The little single roses, $2. But guess what? That single rose to her did the same thing a dozen would do because you thought enough about her. Well, you had a gesture. I said earlier, she ain't need no Ruth Chris. She ain't need no Capital Grill. She was down with 2 for $20, right? And see, I don't know if y'all had this place where y'all live. Now, Kira know this. Fuddruckers. Oh my God. Do you hear me? Y'all could go there and get her a smokehouse burger with extra bacon, a large fry, and a large Coke. Come on now. And then look, Pastor D, then you go to the picture show. And you get 2 large sodas and you shatter popcorn and you pray to God, please let her reach her hand in here while my hand is in here. Because this oil, thou anointest my hand with oil, and thine cup is running over. You hear me? That it felt good to you, and you left your hand in the bucket for the rest of the movie because you didn't want her hand to get off of yours. And you went through the rest of that day happily ever after. Pastor D, I'm coming to you. But, now, the first date, man got to spend $400. He got to go to Capital Grill. He got to go to Steak 48. You know, he got to get a la carte. The steak, $60. The potato, $20. The macaroni and cheese, $20. You understand? Look, and at Steak 48, which I do love, it's $10 just for the spring water. You hear me? But we think that we have to do that on a first date. Why do we think that, Pastor D? Talk to me.
I'm not sure why some people think that. I don't want to say we, because I don't think that.
I got you.
But I do think that once again, trying to keep up with a phony lifestyle or trying to keep up with, being able to brag and say, he took me to Steak 48 or he took me here, is a lot of the reasons why people assume that a first date ought to be above and beyond.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes I think men do it. Because as we've been talking, men back then were creative. Men have lost their creativity. So it's easy just to take her to, let me take her to an expensive restaurant to show off, or let me take her to do this, instead of being creative, because sometimes it's not that a woman demands it. It's just that sometimes I guess men don't have creativity, so that they feel like that's the way I get her attention versus really trying to learn the woman and seeing like, is she even this type of woman? And then a lot of times with women who require certain times that kind of stuff, it's once again because they're not creative as a woman, right? Sometimes as women, we're like, okay, well, that's the way for him to impress me. Like certain classes of women, money, they require money or a status to feel like I fit in or feel like I am somebody or I'm important to this man. And they could take you to Steak 48 or Steak and Steak, I think it's called here. And still be a jerk. So the money value of how much he spends on you does not determine how much he cares about you, but we have placed a price on, I guess you could say, replace love or on love. I don't know, but that's how I look at it, is that creativity has lost its place in the first date.
Got you. That's interesting. Talk to me, Shaq. So why do you think that as men, and I know I'm generalizing, but I think that JB would probably agree that many of us believe that we have to come out of the pocket with $200 and $300 and $400 on a first date, right? Or she won't be happy. Talk to me.
Well, I'm kind of like Pastor D. It don't take all that to please me, right? But I do feel that sometimes men will actually go above and beyond what's expected for a level of impression.
Mm,
First time impressions are everything.
mhm,
So they want to make that sometimes we go above and beyond the cause, man. It may be a little bit more than what was requested just because I want to show you your value.
mhm,
And of course, going out to the steakhouse and the expensive meal, that's great. But it's actually, I agree um, with the earlier statements that were said. It's setting the ambiance. So I think those expensive dinners goes towards setting the tone, setting the ambiance. It's an intimate location, intimate place where you can actually, have that conversation and that one-on-one. And sometimes you pay for the quality of that just to be next to you. Like prime example, last year for me, for my birthday, I was in what was it? It was like a Ruth Chris type
mhm,
scenario that was in the DC area. But I
mhm,
had a live jazz band that was there, and the dinner meals were like super expensive, right? But it
mhm,
was the ambiance that I truly enjoyed that was there with the connection and the conversation. So
mhm,
it wasn't really about the meal. So I don't think, for me going out on my birthday date was the fact that he was looking at how much the meal cost. I think it was the fact that he wanted to just take me out to something that was lavish and
mhm.
show me the value of what I think of you. You get what I'm saying? Because back in the
Yeah,
day, you just said a rose at the gas station for $1 is $1.75, you
yeah,
know. And that back in the day was appeasing and happy for us. I can remember, like, I'm divorced. I remember the love of my life, my first marriage. He brought me a charm, and this was in high school. I actually married my high school sweetheart, y'all. So he brought me a charm that said "My number one lady." When I tell y'all, I didn't take that charm off my necklace. And I wore it everywhere that I went, so, and there were places that we would go into, and but when I wasn't with him and someone would see the chain that was on my neck, they were like, oh, you know um she's taken or she's unavailable. So it was the little things back in the day compared to the now.
yeah, yeah, yeah. AP, talk to me. Same question.
Listen.
I'm listening.
Okay. So the quality of the 2 for $20 is not the same. I'm sorry to let y'all know that.
Okay.
Back when we was younger,
Uh-huh.
the 2 for $20, our palate, we had a certain palate. But
La-
this is how I
Ladies and
feel.
gentlemen, turn to your neighbor, say palette.
Palette.
Palate. Palate. Like palate. Come on. The different textures, the different tastes. Like our palate has changed. I'm not saying we can't still go for 2 for $20
Mhm.
because we could go. But what I am saying is let's, raise our palate just a little bit. Just a little bit. I ain't saying we got to go to the steakhouse,
Mhm.
but in changing our palate, it doesn't always have to be a meal. It doesn't always have to be an expensive place.
Mhm.
It can be, a jazz, outing. It can be,
Okay.
um,
All
a
right.
walk. Um, Changing your palate is not always about changing how much money you spend, but it is about, like Pastor D said, getting those creative juices flowing. But the 2 for $20 is not the same, y'all. I just want y'all to know that. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, listen, I I actually appreciate the honesty because you know, to each his own. No, nobody can say that. Well, okay, if you want a certain type of date, that you're necessarily wrong. It's just about meeting an individual that shares that same belief. And I'm definitely with you, AP, that yes, I agree that as we get older, a palate does change. And I also believe that part of what you're saying is that you don't want a certain thing all the time. Would I be right?
It depends, because the right thing all the time with the right person, it could be nice.
Okay.
Now, the creativity, like Pastor D said, you can do the same thing but have a different vibe.
I got you.
Okay,
Come on, vibe.
you go ahead.
I love it. I love it. I mean, I'm loving the honesty. I want to go back to commitment level. I'm coming back to Shaq. Commitment level. Nowadays, I think a common belief is that commitment is almost non-existent. It's so difficult to even reach the point of relationship, right? That once we get in the relationship, I feel like a lot of us, instead of us dating each other, I'm dating your trauma and you're dating my trauma, right? So it's like I'm afraid to love you, which again is me displaying my trauma. You are afraid to let me love you, right? A lot of women are not afraid to love, they are afraid to be loved, right? Because the last person said that they loved them wasn't true or they didn't feel it. Now they will love because they control that and they know that their love is trustworthy. But a lot of women are afraid to be loved. With that being said, do you feel that when women are afraid to be loved, that they should be dating at all?
Should they be dating at all? Yes and no. I'm going to say yes simply because, I don't know of any woman that just doesn't want to be loved. We have what's called that barrier that is up, right? So, out of having that barrier up, sometimes it's a barrier of like, oh, okay, until I feel that I can let this guard down to
Mhm.
allow you in, because you might have been showing me signs, G, that said, you were
Yeah.
like my past. And
Yeah.
for that being said, I've got a blocker that is up. That's not saying I don't want to say that I'm not ready for love, but
Uh-huh.
we as women, we also have to get to a place where we're not characterizing or pointing the finger as far as like judgment and judging you based upon my past. So, because I have to then come into the account and realize that you were not him. You get what
Mhm.
I'm saying? And a
Mhm.
lot of times, some women, sometimes they'll say that because we'll say, oh, that's a red flag. Or
Mhm.
that's the reason why, this relationship isn't going anywhere. We're
Mhm.
just not going to make it. And sometimes we as women, we can self sabotage. I know I have done my part of self sabotage in this situation just because the red flags that were there. And maybe it was just me saying I was afraid of letting that guard down. I don't want to say that didn't say that I wasn't ready for love. It was the fact that you didn't have me at a secure place to say that I can let my guard down and I'm okay with where this is and let's see where it's at.
Got you. Got you. Got you. Good stuff. JB,
Yes, sir.
I got one for you. Now, we have heard,
Pastor G,
yes.
can I say something?
Come on, talk to me.
Women want to feel safe,
Yeah.
desired, special, loved, and wanted.
I agree.
Agreed.
And if a woman doesn't feel safe, she isn't ready to love.
Mm.
However, that man can create an environment where she feels safe, where she feels desired, where she feels special, and where she feels loved and wanted. And when that atmosphere is created, is cultivating a I believe in creating me a new heart.
Hmm.
I believe men have the power with how they react to you and how they massage, how they really, really, really get you into a space where you feel comfortable enough to let your guard down.
Hmm.
And they also have the opposite effect
Hmm.
to where you don't feel, safe. enough to be prepared for love.
Mm. Let me ask you a follow-up to that. I definitely agree with you. I definitely do. Let me ask you this. Let's take a woman who does not feel safe, right? Do you think that that is solely a product of what this man is or isn't doing?
Of course not. We all come with our baggage.
Mm.
Just like Pastor D said when she got on here, we all come because we're probably all over 40 and we all have our own experiences. It's not saying that it's his job to do it. However, if he creates it, it
Mhm.
allows her to let her guard down. And sometimes we go into certain relationships and God has created in that relationship to heal a piece of us because he's not like the person who hurt you. He's not like the person who made you put that wall up. But he is the person that can show you that all men aren't the same.
Right. That's good. You know, I the reason that I asked you that question is because there are those who believe that it is solely the other person's job to make us feel a certain type of way, whether it's man to woman, woman to man. And I definitely agree that we both have a place in that. But yes, I do agree with you that yeah, this man needs to give something to let her know that it is safe to allow me to love. And I think if he does that and she still is afraid, then that's when we know, you know what? Let's have a conversation. Let's talk. Like, is there something you want to tell me? Those are the conversations now as adults that we don't want to have or we don't have, right? Even though when we were younger, there were several times where how your boo, how your bae felt was the most important thing to you. It really mattered how they felt. If you could sense something being wrong, like we really paid attention as teenagers. And I would argue had better emotional intelligence to a certain degree then than we do now because we were more intentional. We paid attention. There are certain things that you can gauge by paying attention. I understand as adults, we talk about discernment, and I get it. But even discernment requires you to be present and to read the room, to pay attention. And that we don't do that. Like the distractions of social media, the distractions of your job, children, the distractions of just getting older, having to care for parents, having to care for your niece, nephew, children, having to help your friend, just all these things, you know, extracurricular activity. I'm starting a small bit, everything that we've taken our attention off of each other and we've made ourselves believe it's impossible for us to love now. It's impossible to be in a successful relationship. Now, you add to that, all of us on this screen, people of color, they tell us each and every day what we're not, what we cannot be to one another. We cannot be successful together. They keep all of these negative statistics about us. They feed us a lot of garbage without contextualizing things. Then in our head that these things are true, like we actually believe that the divorce rate is 50%. When the last time you ever asked somebody to prove it? Can you show me state to state the divorce rate? Show me. When did we ever ask where that comes from? When did it start? We never asked that question. We take that for factual information. Now we tell ourselves we doomed from the start. If you go into something thinking failure, it's probably gonna fail. That divorce rate being 50% came from way back when between World War II and the Vietnam War, they said that if 5% of those current marriages were to get divorced, that in 20 years, the divorce rate would be 50%. But nobody ever looked stuff up. We trust toxic information, right? We get into relationships with one another, already thinking the worst. Now, experience is what it is. I get it. We all have been hurt. I get that. But we bring what TikTok say into our relationship. We bring what they call them, the passport bros into the conversation. We want to bring now this whole what is it, JB, the Plan B movement? What is it?
The 4B movement.
Oh yeah, the 4B
Yeah.
movement. What's that about? Right? We bring all this stuff into the conversation now, and it's like, wait a minute, I just want to go back to when I was 17. Put your number on this napkin and let's move forward. I like you. Do you like me? I would dare say to any adult, if you are around somebody on a regular basis that you like, pass them a note. Put a note on their desk. Walk away. Let them read it at their leisure. Something simple. Do you like me? Yes, no, maybe. But we complicated this thing. Relationships are hard. First dates are hard, right? I think I was coming to Shaq. My question is this. Before a first date, tell me, do you agree? I personally believe that much of our turmoil comes from the fact that we invest or give our time to somebody without thinking about it. Because you asked for it, I'm going to give it. I don't know you. You're a stranger. I know nothing about you. It's a first date. How well do you think you should know a person before you give that person a first date?
Oh wow. As far as like a timeline, I would probably say I've probably gone on a first date after the first week, maybe 2 weeks of actual conversation, because at that point I'm intrigued. I feel like if I have a continuation of conversation with you and we have a vibe, as AP said, like if we're vibing, like at that point, I want to see you in person. And then I want to see if that vibe is going to still be the same when I see you in person, because we can actually mesh and have a good time on the phone, and it can be absolutely amazing. And you can put on that Tevin Campbell, Can We Talk? And I can just be mesmerized and just fall asleep on the phone in this conversation with
All
you.
right.
But can you have the same type of ambiance or the same type of effect on me in person?
Yeah.
And so that is the part where at that point I'm intrigued. So then I want to see you. I want to see you in person. I want to see, am I going to get the same type of butterflies in the stomach when I'm looking into your eyes? Am I going to be affected when you talk to me? Am I going to just be caught up in the words you say or when you sing to me, and just turn to the side and be like, oh, okay, I'm still here. It's just me and you.
Come on now.
So as far as the timeline, of course, I'd say at least, 2 weeks. Some people say, I've had girlfriends that say they go up to like 3 weeks, sometimes a month before they actually meet. But for me personally, I'm too old to be playing games. So, after a couple conversations and I'm interested, let's go on a first date. Let's see where this takes us.
I saw you standing.
Come on.
I started pretending. Come on now. Anyway, I like that. Pastor D, I told somebody this about before a first date. I said that my belief is this is not about anything moral. It's just my personal opinion. I said, I think people should have at least 7 conversations before your first date. And here's why. The only thing moral is that 7 is no completion. But I also said 7 because from a man's perspective, if this man is willing to have 7 conversations with you before seeing you, it's a good chance that his head is in the right place, that you won't waste your time. I'm not saying it's going to be your husband, but I'm saying it won't be a waste of time. It won't be a fool that you're going out with. He actually must have interest in you. Like 7 times he's answered the phone or he's reached out to you, whatever it is. And I feel like, this is my opinion, that it should be the man doing the majority of that reaching out, because pursuit needs to start in the very beginning. I'm not saying a woman can't call. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying, if you didn't call old boy 5 times and he ain't called you first, no ma'am, no ham, no sandwich. Mm-mm. He needs to be showing that he has a genuine interest in who you are. Let him initiate these things, right? Because if he does that, it's a good chance that this person may stick around in your life. As a woman, how do you feel about that?
Well, I haven't broke it down to calling me 7 times, but I am definitely the opposite of, I think her name is Shakira. I am, we can talk on the phone for months. And the reason why I say that is because I don't need a free meal. I
Okay.
don't need free entertainment. I can go take myself out to eat, which I do quite well. I can go take myself, to entertain myself. I just went out the country by myself last year. So I don't need entertainment for free. So I feel like if you're consistent for a few months and probably closer to 3, by that point, we both gonna know, yeah, this probably is worth it, or no, this probably isn't worth it. So the truth is, I tell people I haven't had a real date since 2017. Why? Because I'm just that serious about not wasting my time.
Yeah.
I'm just that serious about not wasting your time. I'm just that serious about dating with purpose.
Yeah.
Dating to say that I'm dating, not just dating to say, oh, you get all geeked up. Hey, we went out to eat. And then people ask you, your girl's like, girl, where he at? Girl, I don't know. He ain't even here no more. So we're just not going to go through all of those changes. And so that's the truth. Like, I think months, because it gives me time, and I usually do 3. Most of them don't last past 3, but make it to 3. But I'm very intentional when it comes to dating because, for one, I do have daughters. 2, as being a person in ministry, I am an example. People watch you whether you want them watching you or not. People pay attention.
They do.
And last thing you want is people saying, "I was out on this date." A girl, she was just dating this person a couple months ago. Did she go on that date? So, because of that, I am very cautious and protective about the anointing I do carry. My own standard of, it's not that serious. Right person you will connect with, and you both will know, like, okay. And he can't say, oh, well, she just went out, she just wanted a free date, or she just wanted a free meal, or she just wasted my time, or she just wanted me to spend money here. So he can't even say the same, because we really both spent time in making sure before this first date ever takes place, it's worth both of our times, and it's worth money, it's worth our energy, it's worth me, going out to, I like to shop anyway, but it's still worth me going to get a cute outfit.
All right.
For the event. So so that's how I look at it. But yeah, I'm a little pushback. I'm a little more old school, I think, because I push that back a lot. And I don't believe in rushing on the first date.
I get you. I got you. I mean, I'm with it. I'm with you. I don't believe in necessarily rushing either. I'm definitely not gonna talk to you for months and I ain't synced you. That's just me. I'm gonna need to be like in Vogue, give me something I can feel. Oh, that love was real. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, JB.
Hold on real quick. I'm sorry, JB. But I think there would have to be a real connection before it's like, hey, let's go out to eat, or let's go out on a date, right?
Okay.
Like, if there's a real connection and we're really getting along, and like you said, he's really pursuing me and we're really like hitting it off on in the right ways. And we both are intentional, but just because we're talking doesn't mean you're intentional. Somebody might not be exactly intentional. But
But
if
I can't pursue your picture.
right, if you're really like you're really first of all, I've already seen you because guess what? You had to get my number one way or the other, right?
Yeah.
Or like we video chatted. But as far as like
Okay.
that, I think like honestly for me, yeah, like it has to be something different about you than the last 5 clowns that tried to get my attention. That makes me feel.
I got you.
Or
I
if
got
they're big, like if Patty LaBelle was here, and if he was like I did want to go out with somebody like that, that would have been have a date to go hear Patty LaBelle and Stephanie Mills, all those great people. Like yeah, but we could have went Dutch. I could, still buy my own ticket. But yeah, so that's how I do it.
I'm about to ask JB this. JB,
Yes, sir.
you waiting 3 months to go out?
No. I'm going to tell you why, man. If she doesn't have burning desire to see me, she can keep that.
That boy said burning.
If it's not a burning desire, she can keep that. Listen, let me explain something to you, man. My grandfather told me a long time ago, he said, what you respect will come to you. What you don't respect will leave. Here's the thing. I think a lot of times people get caught up in trying to band-aid, dates and everything to cover up inadequacies in ourselves. You see what I'm saying? If I go on a date or expensive fancy date, that means I'm worth something. No, it doesn't. It just means you ate, whether you ate here or there, it doesn't matter. If you need outside things to validate who you are, then I think there's more inside work that you need to do, which speaks back to what I said earlier. Are you prepared to move forward? You see what I'm saying? My whole thing is this. You have to ask yourself as a man, you have to ask yourself this question. Is she here for the combo or is she here for the company? So with that being said, you have to be apprehensive. My thing is this. I really don't think that women understand how brilliant men could be. Because I will have a 5-minute conversation, not only with your physical body, but at the same time, I'm having a conversation with your spiritual body. I'm looking at how your body moves when it's near me. I'm listening to what comes out of your mouth to hear if you're healed. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Whether there's desire in me for you. Not only that, I'm also gauging the amount of time that you've invested in me, as well as the amount of time I made available to invest in you. So that's the reason why I said, if there's not a genuine burning desire for one another, then we're wasting each other's time. My whole thing is this: if we haven't put in the appropriate amount of time and you're heads over heels over me, that's a red flag. I'm going to tell you why. The reason why that is because I don't feel like I've earned your place in your heart.
All right.
And to me, it seems like something's off. If somebody's eagerly to give you something, then you might want to think twice. You see what I'm saying? I'm the type of person, I like to earn what I get. I got an old school saying is I don't have to cheat you to beat you. You know what I mean? My whole thing is this. I want to make sure that the relationship that we start to build is real. And if I'm going to marry you, it's going to be forever.
Yes,
but before we do that, I need to make sure that you've done the work. I need to make sure that you're prepared. And I also need to make sure that you're willing to allow me to go in and to inspect your heart to see if it's okay for mine to come in. I'm going to tell you why. Because if you've mismanaged your own heart, I cannot expect you to manage mine. So I need you to make sure that you have a healthy relationship with yourself and your God, because that's the only person who can fix your heart. You see what I'm saying? Because I know who rolls mine. I know when I'm down, who I have to talk to. The only person who knows who can fix it, because he knows every hair on my head. He knew the day that I was going to be born. You see what I'm saying? That's the only, there's certain things I can't even talk to my own mama about. I have to take it to God in prayer. But my whole thing is this: if you haven't fixed what's on the inside of you, I can't trust in you. You know, I think it's in Proverbs 31 that says, in his heart does he safely trust. So I'm going to make sure that my heart has a place that is comfortable to land, because my heart is prepared for you to come in and get rest.
We want to take this time and ushers come down, please. We want to get this love offering for Bishop JB. We appreciate the sermon. We want to get the best seed in your hand. $20 seed, 40, 50, whatever you got. Send your love offering to P.O. Box JB Ministries. My boy. That was good to my soul, sir. Sure enough was the truth. So
Thank you, sir.
let's put some sugar in this Kool-Aid. So we talked about back in the day. We talked about right now. And let's look at where we are, as I think all of us are over 40. So all of us being 40 and over, we got careers, we've got small businesses, we've got aspirations, right? We know in our heart what it is that we desire in a man, in a woman. We all have a relationship with the Lord. We all value that relationship. We talk to God, right? We allow God to talk to us. You know, Bible talks about working out our own soul salvation, which is about building that relationship continually. We don't take that same attitude into relationships, number one, but we also do not take that approach with figuring out, is this somebody that I can build with before we attempt to build? I am, first of all, not of the belief that God ever gives any of us a finished product, right? As a man, this woman might be for me, but she's not going to be a finished woman. I'm going to have to wash her with the water of the word and to cultivate some more things in her that are suitable for me. Likewise, this woman will take my vision and have another perspective that helps to shape a piece of this thing that I wouldn't be able to do without her. Keep that in mind. Think about coming into not a relationship, but coming into dating a particular person, right? I didn't just meet you. I'm past the first date, about a few times. And I'm trying to figure out now, are you somebody that I would want to be in a relationship with? Because my goal is marriage. My goal is marriage. So what are the things that I'm looking for or looking at? What do I require? What kind of wife do I need? What kind of husband do I need? I think these are the type of questions that we do not ask ourselves, and we kind of play Russian roulette. And we just enter things and we say, well, you know what I'll do? I'll just see where things go. I'll just get in this thing and, you know, wherever the wind blow us. No. I always say, again, if it's a relationship, what's the destination? Because ships take you somewhere. And as Christians, I know all of us share the belief that this relationship is supposed to go to marriage, because it's relationship, courtship, marriage. And we do not want to keep acting as if I know God to be this in this area, God is a healer. God is my savior. You know what I'm saying? He can do all these things, provide all this stuff. But here I am, and I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with being single. I'm not talking about that. I mean, when we have so many negative things to say about a lot of people that we chose, but we're saying, I have a personal relationship with God, and God is leading and guiding me. Recognize that we're all human and prone to mistake. But what are we really holding on to that leads us to somebody to the point where it lets us know that I want to love the part of you that need me. And I believe that you will love the part of me that needs you. What are we looking for? And anybody can answer this. What are we looking for that lets us know that that's that person? Anybody?
I say it all the time, and it's the willingness to grow and the willingness to change. You know, anybody could sign up for the mission when it first starts. But what do, you know, when there's a bump in the road, you know, when there's a tree in the lane, when there's an obstacle, you know, do you trust me enough? Or do we trust each other enough that we make the adjustment at the same time? Willingness can cover a multitude of inadequacies. I might not know how to fix this. I may need to lean on you, or you may not see the vision, so you can lean on me. But if we'll have the willingness to talk to one another, we can overcome anything. So I think the willingness is the secret ingredient, because the willingness is wrapped in grace. The willingness is wrapped in favor, you know, with one another, how we operate and how we treat each other. So my thing is this: I want to make sure that the willingness to help each other is at the center of everything that we do, because out of that grows a multitude of life. So I just want to make sure that I share that with you guys. It's always the willingness to want to work with one another, no matter what.
I love that. What about you, Shaq? What you think?
Well, he said a mouthful for me with that one, because he is absolutely right. I am one of those so quick, G, that will come up on and say, you know, are you willing to stand on the water with me? Are you willing to get out the boat? You get what I'm saying? And walk hand in hand, whether we have an up, a down, a bad conversation, the good, the bad, the hard times. Because of course, everything can be beautiful when you first start into the relationship. But what happens when this ship is rocked? Are you going to have the willingness to stand with me? Are we going to work against what the odds are? Are we going to open up and talk about it and come together in the relationship to find a resolution that works for the both of us, and not we leave away and then you're telling me to push this under the rug, because that's not going to work. So I completely agree with JB on the willingness to stand. Is going to be my answer, as far as in wanting to love the part of me, the part of you that needs me, is being willing to be out there with me.
Talk to me, AP.
Listen. One thing about JB, he gonna drop a bomb, and I love it. This is what every time. I really want to go back to two things he said, but I'm not gonna do it because it's not my show. But
Go ahead.
I'm gonna answer the question. There's something that you said before asking the question about the way that we have chose, the way that we have interacted. And I think there's something to be said about people showing you their representative for a year. People showing you their representative for months. And people turning into someone else. The discernment and the level of, I like to say, Holy Ghost, I think that we have to have has to override our flesh, and it has to override what we feel. And a lot of times, I think in certain circumstances, for some of us, it hasn't. And with that willingness has to now also come a level of discipline and spiritual obedience to really, really tuning into the Holy Spirit and knowing who you are, so you can know, okay, is this someone that I'm willing to take a risk on?
Mm.
Because there is nothing in people that we can say this is 100%
Right.
or this is going to always work out.
Mhm.
But that willingness is good, but it's also a risk.
Mhm. I definitely agree with that. On you, Pastor D. What you think?
For me, I mean, I agree with what everyone has said by all means.
Mhm.
But I think my take is not trying to find somebody like me. Dating the opposite of me in the right areas. A lot of times we try to date people who are just like us. And
Mhm.
so we don't find us, we're frustrated.
Yeah.
Um, and we don't find like they don't respond like we respond. That's why when I started doing the show last year, Pastor Greg, I brought you in to get a man's perspective because men and women really don't think alike.
Right.
We really don't. We don't
Absolutely.
respond alike. And
Right.
so I think a lot of times as in my younger years, I'm like, well, why didn't he respond this way? Or why didn't he think of it like I did? And so for me now it is finding somebody who is help balancing me. Because I think we can balance each other literally like hand in glove. Like the hand has a purpose, the glove has a purpose.
Mhm.
And so understanding that we both have different purposes, but it still fits. Um,
Mhm.
and so for me, I think that that's where I'm at is I want somebody the opposite of me in certain areas. Like Shaquille was saying, how she's so bubbly and this people person and just ah, da, da, da. That is not me. I, people ask me all the time, like, "Oh, just a no." That is ministry purpose. It's not a pretend. It's just when God takes over, I can do that. But the
Mhm.
real me is very shy and very standoffish. I'm very, I'm gonna stand in a corner and I'm by myself and I'm fine. That's probably why I can travel and do so much alone. But I do know I need somebody who is the outgoing person. I
Mhm.
do also understand I need somebody who, like for me, I don't sing. So love for my spouse to sing, right? So
Yeah.
being the opposite of who I am and him accepting, but me accepting, because when we were talking about the willingness to fit for that person is usually it's just the opposite of us. Like what we're missing, that person has, and that's what we need. And
Right.
I need what, I don't carry. I need it from him. And so
Right.
I'm okay now being at that place where like, okay, I'm fine with somebody who's the opposite of me in certain areas, right? He can be the loud person. It's okay. Like that's him. I don't have to be that and not making me feel incomplete because I'm not that, or making him feel incomplete because he's not me. So that's what my take is on that.
I'm gonna shift gears. I feel like across the board, one of the biggest things that we do not do, that we should more do now because we are not 17, 18, 20, is to be accountable. There are a lot of us who, instead of ever looking at what my process is for getting to now, or my process is for getting in a relationship, corporate America always says it's a process problem. It's never a people problem. Like what is our personal process for anything? A process makes my divine relationship in order. It's a process, right? There are things that I must do to make this thing successful. If I'm not feeling as close to God, you know, maybe I feel like what was it, Psalm 42? As the deer pants for the water brooks, so my soul after thee, oh God. Talks about how the psalmist felt so alone and abandoned from God, like a deer thirsting for water, right? Sometimes we feel that desperate for love that we find ourselves eating lies because our heart is hungry, right? And we don't realize that if we have unchecked desires, if we are allowing our desires to control us, that is what causes us to be led not into temptation, to bad relationship, to heartbreak. But we never want to say, my heart was just very hungry and I ate a bowl of lies, right? Because there are two reasons that people change. Either your heart is broken or your mind is opened. That's how people change. Either your heart is broken or your mind is opened. And when your mind is opened, real eyes recognize real lies. When your mind is open, I'm telling you, real eyes recognize real lies really quick. And your discernment will then be on point, and you will realize, you know what? Let me not even give this person a first date. I said earlier, I feel like we give our time out too easily, right? I know she got a big butt and a smile, but she poison. I know he tall, dark, and handsome, but he a liar. We don't want to step back and realize, you know what? I give anybody who asks me out my time. Everybody. I don't know who they are. I don't know their last name. I don't know where they're from, what they're about. I give anybody that asks me out my time and my number. Mm-mm. Sometimes you better say a small prayer to get your number out. Really, because some folk, no, my Facebook is this. My number is personal. Everybody's social media. My phone number, no, I don't know about that. Hit me on DM because you don't know. We don't want to stop and say, you know what? I have a flawed process. I keep giving people my time, and even like we will continue to deal with people who have proven themselves to be liars. We will keep dealing with people that we know continue to let us down. And we'll say, well, maybe they'll change, or because they're attractive, it slides by the wayside. All because, again, we're our heart is already hurting and hungry. We will eat that and won't become more intelligent, emotionally intelligent, and say, you know what? Let me love me better than this. Let me love me enough to not even take your phone call. How many times does a person have to disrespect you to leave them alone? How many times does a person have to show you that they don't keep their word? Right? If I know I want this type of a woman, then my personal life is going to be closed off to a lot of things because I know that I want this type of woman. The Bible says, don't awaken love to the proper time. We have to understand, and I know I don't mean to get overly deep, but I know that we have a tendency sometimes to tell singles this. Well, you single? God just got you in a season of waiting. You got you in a season of waiting. Don't put that on the Lord. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being single, nothing. But let's not put that on the Lord, right? If we're single, just own it. I'm single. No, I have nothing bad to say about men or women. I'm just single, and I'm okay with that. Be okay with that. But should you have had bad experiences, own that and stop making it the other people's fault. Because when we have a habit of choosing the same type of man, the same type of woman over and over again, that means you're choosing the same soul in a different shell. That means there's something wrong with you because you keep choosing no. You keep choosing meek, new. No, you keep choosing them because really your emotions are still with them. So when you see something or somebody that resembles them in any way, the unhealed part of you latches on to that because you never got over that heartbreak. And the truth of the matter is, a lot of us are heartbroken over relationships that we were never in because we can't even establish relationship. We have now what? Situationships. What this is. Situationships, we didn't define it. And don't get me wrong, I know we all saved, sanctified, and I get it. But can I be real for a moment? Yes, I can, because of my show. I know we saved and sanctified, but let me tell you the part we won't talk about. You know why you can't get over him? You know why you can't get over her? They done something to you sexually in that bedroom that your mind is wrapped around an experience, and you are confusing love with lust. And you think that you were so in love with them, but you were so in lust with them because lust looks like love till it's time to make sacrifice. And that's when you know it ain't love. Stop saying that we got chemistry. Who cares? If this is not school, chemistry is irrelevant. Let me tell you what chemistry is. Chemistry is all about your endorphins. Whenever you have a type of feel-good moment, this could be same sex. Not talking about homosexual, talking about just like if me and JB, what's up, bro? Dap up. Man, I ain't seen you in a minute, right? Certain levels of endorphins will increase because it's good to see my brother, right? Now, if it's opposite sex, heterosexual, right? You are attracted to her. You have an attraction for him. Endorphins go up. That ain't chemistry. That's she fine. That's he fine. She fine. Nothing to do with compatibility. You seeing her 36, 24, 36. You seeing all of her blessed assurance. Jesus is mine. Oh, what a foretaste. Glory divine. That's what you are attracted to. You understand? I don't care if you're the bishop, the pastor, the reverend. I don't care who you are. If you see it, whoa, she's fine. That's what that is. Chemistry don't mean nothing at all. Compatibility is about having the same values. That's compatibility. And more importantly, because my purpose pusher is on the show, AP, suitability is when our purpose is aligned. Your purpose and my purpose align. Ain't the same, it aligns. Same direction. You're meant to help me. I'm meant to help you. It was not an intersect. It was not. Same direction. Those are the things that we don't look at. And that is why we find ourselves being duped over and over and over again, is because, yep, it was easy when we was younger because you knew what you wanted and you got it and you held on to it and you protected it. All we had to do was get older and hold those same core things and add a little emotional intelligence to it and block out the distractions. I should still be in puppy love. I should still be there. I should still be valuing the first time she wrote that name on that number on that napkin. I should still be valuing that. I should still be communicating with her, calling her, showing up, supporting her now. But we lost sight of how it used to be. As we close, I'm going to give everybody a final thought. It could be anything that you want to share. Matter of fact, you can take about 2 minutes, each of y'all, if you want. Share your point, whatever it is, and then I'll close us out. I'm going to start with AP, go across, we'll end with Shaq. I'm sorry, end with Pastor D, excuse me.
Proof of desire is pursuit. if you are being pursued, there is some desire there. If you are not being pursued, there is no desire.
You heard it. On you, JB.
It's on me. You know what? Sometimes I like to take practical things, man, and wrap them up in the gospel, man, so people can understand it. Listen, I'm a huge Apple fan. You know what I mean? Let me explain to you what I mean by that. Apple is a fantastic company. It does great things. And the reason why they're able to do great things because they operate vertically. Let me explain to you what I mean by that. Apple controls the software and the hardware and the ecosystem. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
The software allows everything in the hardware sector to work together. And the ecosystem is everything that allows it to work together seamlessly. Well, God acts just like that. It's a vertical. You know, when we operate inside of God's system, it's a
Mhm.
vertical system and it just works. That's the same thing they say with Apple. It just works.
Mhm.
Well, God is the software. We are the hardware, and the church is the ecosystem.
Mhm.
Anytime we get outside of God's will, outside of God's hardware, which is us, and outside of his ecosystem, which is his church, then we can't expect good things to happen. You see what I'm saying? My whole thing is I'm of the old school where obedience is better than sacrifice.
Yes, sir.
So that's the reason why I have an appreciation for what God has built, and I can stand back and watch it, see what it do. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So that's the reason why I like to use Apple as an example of how things work on a heavenly level. See, my thing is this: we have to make sure that we get back to the source code, which is God. We
Mhm.
have to start making sure that we run our instructions the way he sees fit. You know, whenever there's a problem, we have to run what's known as a debugging code. We had to go back to the source code and say, hey, look, did you send this? And the guy was like, no, I didn't send that. Oh, we got a virus. You see what I'm saying? Let's go ahead and take that out. You know, God said that instruction didn't come from me. So you have to go back and confirm. So it allows everything else to work. And I think we need to get back to making sure that we do things the way he needs us to do it. You know, run it vertically, just like he got it set up. God, man, wife, child. You know, make sure the church is the ecosystem to make sure everything works together. So with that being said, people, make sure that you always have a relationship with God. Check in with him just to make sure that what you got wasn't a virus, you know, that's corrupting your ecosystem.
Mhm.
Thank you.
I love it. I love it. Come on, Shaq.
I'm gonna piggyback off of yours because that really set well deep in my spirit. You said something that was key. It said, "Real eyes recognize real lies." So I
Mhm.
would also say in this season, it's very important for us not to just waste our time and don't get so caught up into what you see. He or she may look good, and they may be appeasing to the eyes, but we have to also pay attention to the reality of what's in front of you and the truth that they're actually and what they say. A lot of times we can miss, certain things so that we don't waste time because we just simply don't pay attention, and we actually continue to just feed into the maybe the lie that we tell ourselves. So definitely pay attention in this season so that we're not wasting our time, especially when we're looking for love.
Mhm. Come on, Pastor D.
I'm gonna go pastor way. Proverbs 3:6 says, "In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your path." And when I look at, and I've been listening the whole time, and God's been speaking about Jacob and Leah and Rachel, and how although Jacob did all this work for Rachel, but Leah was the one who was able to produce. He didn't want or didn't really care for her, but when it was all said and done, Leah was the one who was able to produce him children.
Mhm.
Leah was the one who was able to give him exactly what he needed. But because of his desire for want, he never focused on Leah until it was at the end. And when his brain woke up and connected, like, wait a minute. Because when it's all said and done, Jacob ended up getting buried beside who? Leah. So sometimes we are so busy focusing on because the outer appearance look good, but we don't understand that that person that might not look as good to us can cause us to birth out some things that we really need versus what we really want. And so that is, I guess, my thing is making sure that this person can help me produce, help me birth out what God has planted on the inside of me, what my purpose is here on earth. So if nothing else, is that we can't always focus on the outer appearance, because the outer appearance might not produce absolutely anything but what just that, the outer appearance.
I love it. If I could leave the sanctuary, my final thought, I would say that a man has to nurture his ability to lead. Likewise, a woman has to nurture her ability to follow and submit. They are both learned skills that we both have to understand. A man's leadership within marriage is a divine calling of a husband to take primary responsibility for Christ-like servant leadership, protection, and provision in the home. A woman's submission within marriage not only affirms her husband's leadership, but it also affirms her incredible value, virtue, and worth as a woman. She is to be protected by the one she submits to because she is important to the completion of the mission. A wife is a helpmeet, so she is to empower and strengthen the man that she's with to be all that he can be. Her divine femininity feeds his divine masculinity. Leadership is about provision, and submission is about trust. Together, husband and wife must work together to create something beautiful. Part of leadership is understanding the strength of each other and delegating responsibility. There are times where a husband must yield to his wife and realize that she's stronger in a certain area. But because he recognizes her value, she will honor him as her husband because he sees her for more than what she ever thought she could be. Thank you guys so much for being on today's show today. I thank each of you guys for staying on with me. And I pray that all those who watch this, watch the replay, and will be blessed by this. It's going to air again next week. It'll air on Envision Radio. But I want to thank again all of you guys for watching today, tuning in. Thank you all for your sacrifice of time. You could be doing anything, but you chose to spend this time with me in the sanctuary. I love each and every last one of you guys on this panel. I love you guys who are listening. And as always, when you have said all that you know, it is time to go. I will see you next time on the sanctuary. We air every Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, I love you with the love of the Lord, and I'll see you real soon.